The moon was quiet. It always was. This place had no name, only numbers. Section B9. A junkyard planet. A forgotten world where broken machines and rusted starships were left to rot. And there, in the middle of that endless graveyard, worked a human mechanic named Rig. He had oil on his face, cuts on his hands, and tools strapped to his belt. His job? Dig through the trash, fix what he could, and sell it to passing traders. Nothing special. But that day, everything changed. He was deep in a pit of wreckage, searching for old star drive coils, when his boot hit something strange. Clunk. It wasn't metal. Rig frowned and knelt down. The ground here was dry and soft, covered in layers of space dust and ash. He brushed some away with his hand. Then he froze. It was a claw, huge, curved, almost the size of his arm. It wasn't made of any metal. He knew. It looked like bone, but shimmered with a strange dark blue glow. Rig touched it carefully. A cold jolt ran through his fingers. The claw pulsed. Once. He jumped back, heart racing. Then everything around him went silent. The wind stopped. The machines around him stopped humming. Even the birds, strange metal-winged creatures that circled the sky, flew away. The claw pulsed again. This time it whispered, not in words, but in feeling. It felt like a memory, like something old, something alive, was still inside. Rig's hands trembled. He looked around. No one else saw it. No cameras, no workers, just him and this thing. Carefully, he dug it out. The claw was heavy but not dead weight. It was sleeping. On its surface he noticed symbols, ancient lines, glowing, softly, not human, not even from the known alien systems, but something about them looked familiar. He pulled out his scanner. Error. Unknown species. And yet, somewhere in the back of his mind, a word echoed. Scarthan. He didn't know where it came from, but it gave him chills. Back at his workshop, Rig placed the claw on the table. It made his lights flicker. The power grid glowed unstable. His tools sparked. The air smelled of smoke and something older, something like firewood and blood. He didn't stop. He scanned the claw again. Still no match. He searched old records, galactic history, war logs, forbidden archives. And there, hidden in a long-forgotten file from a 10,000-year-old battle, he found a faded image, a giant creature, wings that blocked the sun, a long, glowing body covered in armor and scales. Its claws curved like blades, its eyes burned like stars, and on its chest, the same symbol that was on the claw in front of him. The name under the image was half erased, but one word remained. Dragon. Rig leaned back in his chair. A dragon? He whispered. Dragons were legends, old stories, ancient alien creatures, said to burn planets and guard powerful knowledge. Most believed they never existed, or that they were just metaphors for old wars. But now, there was proof. One was real, and its claw was in his shop. That night, Rig couldn't sleep. The claw glowed softly in the dark. It was calling to something, or someone. In his dreams he saw fire, cities burning, soldiers running, and above it all, a shape in the sky, long, wide-winged, roaring with power. Then, silence. A last heartbeat, and the whisper of a promise. If ever you remember me, I will return. Rig woke in sweat. He sat up, looked at the claw, and made a decision. I don't know what you are, he said aloud, but I'm going to bring you back. As the morning sun rose over the junkyard planet, the wind shifted. Buried under mountains of forgotten wreckage, other pieces began to stir. Bits of armor, pieces of scale, a cracked eye lens, all spread across the graveyard, hidden for centuries, waiting for someone to remember. And Rig, the human nobody, had just done the one thing the galaxy never expected. He found the last dragon and he planned to fix it. Rig had fixed many things in his life, ships, bots, mining drones, broken radios, but never anything like this. The dragon's claw now sat in his workshop, covered with cloth during the day. It still glowed faintly beneath the fabric. He hadn't told anyone about it, not even old Gento, the scrap dealer who visited every week. He knew better. Secrets this strange were dangerous. That morning, Rig returned to the same crater where he found the claw. He searched for hours, digging through layers of dust and rusted metal. Just when his arm started to ache, he heard a soft hum, like a low, slow heartbeat coming from deep below the junk. He dug faster, more pieces. A piece of armor, curved in silver black, like a scale. Then something heavier. A glowing orb cracked, and old but pulsing slowly like a living thing. Rig gasped. It was a core, a power core, but not like anything he had seen. It wasn't made of wires and fuel cells. It pulsed like a heart. He touched it gently. Thump. His hand jerked back. Thump. Thump. The heartbeat grew stronger, faster, hotter. Suddenly the ground under him shook. Not from the core, from something watching. Rig turned. In the distance, 3 shadowy figures stood at the ridge, staring down into the junkyard. Tall, thin, wrapped in black robes with glowing blue eyes. Not from this world, not friendly. Rig quickly picked up the core and ran back to his workshop. Inside, he placed the heart beside the claw. The moment they got close, both pieces lit up. The claw pulsed in rhythm with the core. It was like watching a body try to breathe again. Rig stared in shock. "Is this you?" he whispered. No answer. But a warm wind moved through the room. The lights flickered again, and deep in his mind he heard something. Not words, not exactly, but a voice. Feminine. Strong. Tired. "Find the rest of me." Rig stepped back, trembling. This was real. He wasn't fixing a machine. He was waking something. He didn't sleep that night. Instead, he opened every locked storage unit in his workshop, searching for old maps, ancient tech, forbidden history. He had to know what he was dealing with. What was the Scarthan dragon? Why was it scattered and buried? Why was its heart still beating? He found an old data file, corrupted and barely readable, but one line still played. The Scarthan were not beasts. They were guardians, the last protectors before the fall. They were betrayed, not by enemies, but by the ones they defended. Rig stared at the screen. Guardians? Was that the truth? Did the galaxy erase their story? The next morning, Rig returned to the pit, but everything was gone. Burned, melted. The claw marks, in the dust, erased. Only one thing remained. A silver pendant. It was shaped like an eye with tiny black scales inside. He picked it up carefully. It burned hot in his hand. Then his scanner beeped. Unknown signal detected. "Tracking you." He looked up. The sky was too quiet. The Watchers had returned. They were hunting, not for money, but to stop whatever he was building. Rig ran back, locked down the shop, and turned off all lights. He placed the pendant near the claw and heart. For a second, everything was still. Then the pieces began to shift. Slowly, inch by inch, pulling toward each other like magnets. The claw twitched, the heart pulsed faster. The pendant began to hum, and in the dark, he heard that voice again. Clearer now, stronger. "You have begun what no other dared. I remember your kind." "You were kind to us once," he whispered back. "What are you?" The voice answered softly. "I was Velshara, the last flame." His breath caught. Velshara. That name. It was in one of the ancient war tales, one about a beast that shielded a dying planet with its wings and vanished in the stars. A myth. But she wasn't a myth anymore. She was coming back piece by piece, and Rig had lit the spark. Rig barely slept anymore. Not because he was tired, but because the dragon kept speaking. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw glowing wings, stars burning in the distance, and 1,000 voices calling out in fear and wonder. But one voice always stood out. Hers, Velshara. Not just a weapon, not just a machine, a living being, ancient, wounded, and slowly waking up. Now 3 pieces sat on his table, the claw, the heart, and the pendant. Each one pulsed with strange light. When close together, they hummed in sync, like parts of a sleeping body remembering how to breathe. But Rig needed more. He had to find the rest of her. He searched the deepest vault of his workshop, a place he hadn't touched in years. Boxes of junk, old blueprints, scrap metal, rusted tools. Then something odd. A crate marked with a symbol he didn't recognize. A burning star wrapped in chains. He opened it. Inside was a twisted piece of armor, silver with black streaks, shaped like a rib. He held it up. Cold, heavy, but it responded to the claw and heart instantly, glowing the moment he brought it near, another piece of her. He smiled. "She's coming back," he whispered. Just then, the front door slammed open. Rig jumped. A sharp sound followed, a plasma blade igniting. 3 figures entered. Tall, alien, robes like flowing shadows. Their eyes glowed blue, and their skin shimmered like stone. One stepped forward and pointed at the table. "You are playing with forbidden fire, human." Rig backed away slowly. "I didn't steal it." The second one growled. "No one owns her. Not anymore." "She?" Rig asked, voice shaking. You know who she is?" The leader tilted his head. Velshara was the first flame, guardian of 9 worlds. She vanished in the final betrayal. "And now?" Rig asked. "She must remain forgotten. If she rises again, the old wars may return." Rig stepped in front of the pieces, heart pounding. "I won't let you destroy her." The aliens moved forward. Then, a flash of light erupted from the heart piece. The ground shook. The pendant rose into the air, spinning rapidly. Suddenly, a deep voice echoed, not through sound, but through mind. "He has chosen restoration over fear." "You chose silence." The aliens froze, eyes wide. The light pushed them back, blinding, burning like pure stardust. And just like that, they were gone. Vanished. Not dead. Just pushed away. Rig stood alone, breathing hard. The glow faded. The workshop was quiet again. But everything had changed. Velshara had protected him. Even incomplete, she remembered him. She trusted him. Later that night, Rig sat on the floor beside the table. He touched the claw gently. "Why me?" he whispered. The voice came again, soft, warm, and tired. "Because you listened." He looked at the parts, still, glowing softly, still alive. He had to find the rest, not just to restore her, but to understand. Who was she before the world forgot? Why had they erased her? Why did the galaxy fear her return? In the junkyard the next day, he found something else. Buried deep under a fallen war machine was a wing plate. Massive, etched with marks, blackened by fire. He dug for hours, pulled it out with help from an old lifter bot. It was beautiful, even damaged. He brought it back to the workshop. This time the other pieces moved on their own. The heart glowed red hot, the claw twitched, the wing connected with a loud click, like a puzzle finding its match. And then, she spoke again. "You are restoring more than just my body, Rig. You are bringing back a truth the stars tried to bury." Rig swallowed hard. What truth? That dragons once loved this galaxy, and it burned us for it. The night was silent, but inside, Rig's workshop, the silence was full of power. Velshara's pieces, claw, heart, pendant, rib, and wing, lay together now, glowing softly in unison. Rig had never seen anything like it. The room felt warmer, like something alive was breathing in the shadows. He had fixed ships, drones, rusted engines, but now he was rebuilding a legend. Still, one piece was missing. The head, or more importantly, the eye. Rig returned to the junk pit again at dawn. This time, he brought scanners, heavy tools, and a strange sense of purpose. Something inside him knew where to look. He didn't understand why. But he followed that feeling. Deep under a collapsed shuttle, he found it. A smooth, curved plate, shaped like a mask. It had no mouth, no nose, just a single glowing line across the front, like an eye. Closed. As he touched it, the earth around him trembled. Not violently, not in fear, like something holding its breath. He didn't wait. He rushed back to the workshop with the head in his arms. Inside, he gently placed it near the others. The moment it touched the table, every piece shifted. The claw bent. The wings stretched, slightly. The heart began to beat faster, stronger. Then the mask slowly lifted into the air. It hovered above the core. Rig stepped back, staring. A sound filled the room. Not a roar, not a scream. A soft, long breath. And then, the line across the mask opened. A single golden eye appeared. It blinked slowly. Alive. Watching. She had opened her eye after 10,000 years. Rig couldn't move. Velshara was looking at him. Not just sensing. Not dreaming. Truly awake. He felt the weight of her gaze, not heavy like judgment, but deep like a galaxy. The eye pulsed with warmth. Human. The word echoed inside his mind. He stepped closer. You can see me? The eye blinked again. I see you. I remember. Remember? What? Kindness. Rig sat down, knees weak, his heart pounded. I'm not a hero, he whispered. You don't need to be, she replied. You listened. You rebuilt. You believed I was more than a weapon. He laughed softly, rubbing his face. You were supposed to be gone forever. That's what they wanted. Not because I was evil, but because I was powerful and merciful. Mercy scared them? Yes, because mercy gives choice, and they only wanted control. Rig didn't understand it all, but he understood her voice. She was calm, wise, sad, and real. No longer just parts on a table, no longer a story from history. She was here, and she was alive. Outside, the sky grew darker. Thunder rolled across the junkyard plains, not from weather, from ships. Rig ran to the roof and looked up. 5 crafts hovered in the distance, armed, military. They had found her. Inside, Velshara's pieces glowed bright red. Rig rushed down and grabbed tools. We don't have much time, he said. The eye flickered. I am not complete. I know, but I can give you fuel. I can route power to your systems. Even broken, I can protect. No, Rig said. Not alone. I'll fight with you. He connected cables to the core, feeding energy from every backup generator he owned. Sparks flew. Lights flickered. The dragon's body surged with heat and light. Outside, the first missile struck. Boom. Walls cracked. Dust fell from the ceiling. Velshara's wings stretched. The claw moved. She wasn't just breathing anymore. She was moving. Rig grabbed his plasma cutter and stood beside her half-formed frame. The golden eye looked at him. You stand with me? He nodded. Until the end. The pieces locked into place with sharp mechanical clicks. Her voice deepened. Stronger than ever. Then we rise together. Smoke filled the air. Sirens wailed. The sky burned orange. Rig ran. Sparks flew behind him as the roof of his workshop collapsed. Enemy drones swarmed like metal insects, scanning the ground for signs of movement. The military ships had already surrounded the junkyard. And in the middle of it all, half assembled and glowing with fury, Velshara crouched like a broken phoenix ready to rise. "Move!" Rig shouted, grabbing a power cell from the ground. Velshara, even in her damaged state, bent her wing to shield him. A missile struck her back, but the scales held, cracked but unyielding. "I can't fly," she said in his mind. "Too much is still missing." "Then we'll run," he replied. "There's a tunnel beneath the scrap tunnels. Old smuggler, we're out. It's deep. You'll fit." "I am not meant to hide." "You're not hiding," Rig said, guiding her toward the hatch in the floor. "You're surviving." She didn't argue. The moment the hatch opened, smoke and heat rushed upward. It was tight, but Velshara folded her wing and followed him down the dark shaft. Missile fire thundered behind them. The metal lid slammed shut just in time. They moved through the old tunnels, lit only by the glow from Velshara's golden eye. Her wing scraped the walls. Her breathing was loud and rough, half machine, half beast. Sparks leaked from her core. "Are you okay?" Rig asked, coughing. "I am incomplete," she said simply, "but my purpose remains." "And what is that?" "To protect what is good." Rig didn't say anything, he just kept walking. Every few steps she stumbled, her body wasn't stable. Her systems were still waking up, but still she followed him. Still she trusted him. Behind them they heard the sound of boots. The enemy had entered the tunnels. They weren't giving up. "We have to lose them," Rig said. He turned a corner and pressed a code into an old panel. The wall clicked. A hidden door opened. Inside was a forgotten power chamber, ancient, cold, but still alive. A place from before the wars, before the galaxy was divided. Velshara stepped inside and looked around. "I know this place, do you do?" "This was one of ours, a nest, a dragon nest?" Rig asked. She didn't answer with words. She stepped forward and pressed her claw to the ground. The floor lit up. A circle of symbols appeared, glowing, spinning, alien but warm. Then something rose from the center of the floor, a crystal orb. It hovered in front of Velshara. She touched it gently, and it melted into her body. Suddenly, her scales shimmered brighter. Her voice became clearer. "A memory shard. A part of me." She looked at Rig, and for the first time, she smiled. In her own way. "You found more of me than just pieces. You found a path back." The moment didn't. Last explosions echoed down the tunnel. The soldiers had found the hidden door. They were close. Velshara's golden eye flared. "I will hold them." "No," Rig said. "We're not splitting up. You must survive." Rig stepped in front of her. "I'm not running either." Her claw lowered beside him. He placed his hand on it. They stood side by side and waited. The first soldier entered the room. He raised his weapon. Before he could fire, Velshara roared, not in sound, but in light. Her body glowed with ancient power. Wings stretched. The symbols on the floor burst to life. A shockwave threw the soldier's back like leaves in a storm. But it drained her. Her legs shook. Her wing trembled. Smoke rose from her chest. Rig caught her before she collapsed. "Too soon," she whispered. "I am still not whole." "But you're still you," Rig said. He looked at her, at this broken, legendary creature who had protected him again and again. "We need to get out of here," he said. She nodded weakly. "There's one more place, the core flame. If we reach it, I will rise." "Where is it?" "The mountain where I died." Rig exhaled. "Then we go there next." The wind howled like a ghost across the dead plains. Rig tightened the straps of his cloak and looked up. The sky was dark, filled with ash, not clouds. In the distance stood a towering mountain, black and broken. Its top was shaped like a jagged crown. The locals called it Ash Spire, but Velshara knew its true name, the place of ending. "This is where I fell," she whispered in his mind. Her body was weak, scales cracked, wings bent, one eye flickering dimly. "This is where I was betrayed and buried." Rig looked at the long path ahead, no road, No signs. Only dust, old bones, and silence. You sure the last piece is there? The flame core. My heart of fire. They couldn't destroy it. They locked it away in the mountain, afraid it might awaken. He nodded once. Then we get it back. Together, they walked. The climb was hard. Velshara couldn't fly. Her legs dragged. Every step left sparks in the dirt. Rig kept her, moving, guiding her, talking to her, even joking when he could. You know, he said, when I was a kid I wanted to ride a dragon. You still might, she replied weakly. You'll have to grow your wings first, then help me find them. They shared a quiet moment. No longer just mechanic and machine. They were something else now, something stronger. Halfway up, they were ambushed. 3 bounty hunters, alien, fast, sharp teeth, cloaked in shadow. They didn't speak. They just attacked. Rig ducked behind a rock, plasma pistol in hand. One shot grazed his shoulder. Velshara roared, a blast of heat from her damaged chest. It threw one attacker off the ledge. But she fell, too, one knee slamming into the stone. Rig jumped forward, shooting another in the back. The last hunter came at him with a blade, too fast, too close. But Velshara's tail, barely functional, swept across the ground and crushed the attacker. Silence returned. Blood dripped from Rig's arm. Velshara breathed hard, voice shaking. You are hurt. He smiled through the pain. You crushed him, that was awesome. You are reckless. I learned from a dragon they didn't stop, they couldn't. Because the mountain was changing. The closer they got, the warmer the air became. The rocks glowed faint red. The ground hummed, and then they found it. A massive gate stood near the peak, carved with symbols. Half melted, Velshara stepped forward. Her eye brightened. The tomb, she whispered. With one push of her claw, the gate creaked open. Inside was a chamber of fire, not flames, but pure energy. A glowing orb floated in the center, cracked but still alive, surrounded by chains, bound by heavy metal rings. Velshara stopped at the threshold. She was afraid. Rig looked up at her. You okay? This is the last of me. If I take it back, I become whole. But I also remember everything. Is that bad? It will hurt, Rig placed his hand on her side. Then let me be here when it does. She turned to him, her eyes shimmering. You already are. She stepped into the chamber. The orb trembled. The chains glowed, sensing her presence. One by one, they snapped. Metal flew across the room. The flame core floated toward her. Then, slowly, it melted into her chest. Velshara screamed, a sound that shook the mountain. Her wings burst wide. Her body glowed red, then gold, then pure white. Scales healed, claws sharpened, her spine straightened, her voice grew deeper. I am Velshara, flame-bearer, sky guardian, last of the Scarthan. She turned to Rig and lowered herself, her wings stretched wide behind her, full and strong. Climb on, human. Rig stared in awe. Then slowly, he climbed onto her back. The heat from her body didn't burn him, it warmed him, wrapped around him like armor. She looked back once. You brought me back. Now I return the galaxy its fire. She jumped and flew. The sky burned gold as Velshara soared through the clouds. The wind sang across her wings. Flames shimmered beneath her as she flew, faster than the enemy ships could follow. Below her, the world looked small. Ruins of cities, metal towers, crumbled battlefields from ancient wars, but she didn't see ruins. She saw a second chance. Rig clung tightly to her back, wind roaring in his ears. He had never flown before, not like this, not with a legend reborn. Where are we going? He shouted through the wind. Velshara's voice echoed inside his mind, strong now, no longer weak. To the place where I once fell. It's time. They see I've risen. They landed on the broken steps of the old citadel, Once the highest command post of the galaxy's rulers, now it was a hollow husk, guarded by drones and elites. But none of them expected her. Velshara struck the ground with her claws. Flames rippled out like a wave. Guards rushed in, but stopped. One by one, they dropped their weapons. They had read the old legends. They had seen her name in the forbidden scrolls. The Fireheart returns. But instead of burning the place down, Velshara walked forward and spoke. This world is broken. Not because of war, but because of fear. You feared what you couldn't control, so you destroyed it. No one moved. She turned to them all, her eyes glowing, her wings spread wide. But I was not born for destruction, I was born for balance, and this human reminded me of who I was. Rig stood beside her now, slightly nervous but proud. Someone laughed from behind the walls. A voice came over the speakers. Cold, sharp. You think they will follow you, beast? You are old fire. Your time is done. Velshara didn't blink. Then, strike me down again. But this time, know that I will rise with more than fire. I will rise with choice. She stepped back and turned to Rig. Are you ready? She asked him. He nodded slowly. For what? For them to choose. Later that day, the news spread across the stars. The last alien dragon had returned, but not as a weapon, not as a queen, as a guardian, standing beside a human, not ruling over him, not beneath him, beside him, and across the broken galaxy, where children grew up with only stories and ashes. A new story began to take shape, of a forgotten dragon and a human mechanic, who believed in something more. In the weeks that followed, Velshara helped rebuild the villages destroyed in the war. She cleared mines from the fields. She melted chains from prison walls, and she flew with human children on her back, laughing, screaming, free. Rig watched it all, amazed. She could have burned cities. Instead, she lit hope. One day, as the sun set behind a hill, Rig sat beside her. You ever miss the old days? Velshara chuckled softly. I miss the sky. I miss the stars. But now, I do not miss being alone. He looked at her. I still can't believe a dragon chose me. She looked back at him. I didn't choose you because you were strong, or brave, or powerful. Then why? Because you saw worth in broken things, and so did I. That night she flew him into the stars, past the moons, past the clouds, past the memories of war, into something new. Not a legend reborn, but a future begun. Together.